Howdy! Today I went and saw F1 the movie and now I want to talk to you about it. It's a dramatic sports film about an old racer being given one last chance to race in F1. The screenplay was written by Aaron Kruger and the film was directed by Joseph Kosinski. It stars Brad Pitt, Damson Idris, Kerry Condon, and Javier Bardem. The film is like one giant race with pit stops in between for the drama. It follows Sonny Hayes, an old racer running lesser circuits to keep himself in the game. When his friend and former teammate Ruben approaches him with an offer to race in F1, he finds himself joining a last-place franchise with a young, inexperienced partner, Joshua Pierce. The story branches off in several different directions with multiple perspectives, but focuses mainly on Sonny and his attempt to win a race with his team. Along the way, we learn about Joshua Pierce and his personal problems, Kate McKenna and her struggle to be taken seriously, and a little bit about Sonny's past. The screen time is mostly focused on Sonny, Joshua, Ruben, and Kate, with a bunch of supporting cast playing the team of mechanics, and an army of extras playing other racers, members of the crowd, and different parts of the press. Sonny Hayes is an older driver who used to compete in F1 until an accident set him on a different path. Older and more experienced, he returns to F1 as a favor to a friend, and finds it difficult to fit into a team environment. He's smart and laid back, but also incapable of changing himself to fit in with others. Joshua Pierce is a young professional driver who isn't living up to his potential. He's focused on the glam and glitz of being a professional racer, and doesn't spend much time correcting his mistakes or trying to learn. Deep down, he wants to be the best, but trusted the wrong people to get him there. Ruben Cervantes is a retired driver turned team owner. He's got an incredible amount of faith in his old friend and encourages him to do his best. He's also being held over a barrel by the board members of his team and desperately needs a win. Kate McKenna is the team's technical director who oversees the car's design. At first, she sees Sonny and Joshua as immature children, but through her calm demeanor and clever manipulation, she manages to get them moving and comes to see their worth. Visually, the film takes place in a lot of fancy-looking locations and on a ton of different racetracks around the world. Most of the places they visit are real locations being used as sets. They've got a few team headquarters, there's a club, and a couple of hotel rooms. For tracks, they visit a lot of the classic F1 tracks in different areas of the world. We get to see the roadways, bits of the gigantic crowds, and a lot of the behind-the-scenes shots of the teams working on their cars. For action, it's all racing. They show us inside the car, the outside maneuvers, overhead views. Hell, they even have different strategy mock-ups to help explain exactly what's going on. The races come often, are a huge part of the story, and there's a few crashes along the way. Sound-wise, the film uses popular modern dance music, a little bit of hip-hop, a few alt-rock songs, as well as a ton of scored instrumentals to create a loud and expressive film. It also goes to extreme lengths to include the ambient noise from the races. They try to recreate the feel of a real race by including the sounds of the cars and the crowd at each event, which brings me to my review. The story is well explained and has a lot of exciting moments in it. It's not great at developing its characters or keeping a steady pace, but if you're in the mood for something light, it's not too bad. It does enough to tell an underdog tale. You'll learn to like Sonny and the team around him, get to see them hit rock bottom before making a miraculous comeback, and then you get a nice ending to cap everything off. It's also got lots of races to keep things exciting, and a few different storylines for you to get into for drama. The storylines are a little shallow and take a long time to complete, but they have some nice emotions in them and a few good lessons. It's super predictable and stretched incredibly thin, but gets the right emotions across and generally leaves you with a favorable view of F1 drivers and their teams. The cast does an okay job of their roles. Most of them are asked to play basic stereotypes and do a good job of it. The leads are given slightly more complex roles to play out, but aren't really given any big opportunities to stand out. Brad Pitt and Damson Idris get the biggest opportunities and do a solid job of their emotional journeys. Unfortunately, it still isn't enough to make their characters unique or stand out in any significant way. Pitt gets to do a mentor role with a quieter personality and does a good job of being personable with the right amount of off-putting to keep others away. He also gets to do a bit of a romance storyline with Condon and does a decent job of that. Idris goes through a jealousy arc before learning to appreciate his teammate and mentor, and does a great job with the little bits of emotion they asked of him. Visually, the film makes excellent use of its grand locations to tell its story, and it has a ton of standout racing footage for you to watch. The story is told clearly, cleanly, and in an aesthetically pleasing way. There's a ton of complex shot work, a plethora of cool races, and a couple of big explosions during the crashes. They did a fantastic job of filming the races and editing them in a way that gets the narrative across while still being able to see the race as a whole. The scenes of them racing through these tracks are high-octane events with a lot at stake. Sound-wise, the film is disappointing. It has everything it needs to succeed. It just isn't mixed properly. First off, the music is deafening and appears way too often. During most scenes, there's a piece of background music going, and it interferes with the dialogue so often that it's actually hard to hear anything outside of the hotel scenes. I constantly found myself trying to tune out the music because of how overused and annoying it was. A good adage to remember when making a soundtrack is, when everything's made to sound epic, none of it actually feels that way. Secondly, the music is competing with all of the ambient noises from the races for top spot, and often the sound just turns into a garbled mixture. They layer voices on top of car sounds, crowds cheering, background music, and even the radio announcers, and just expect you to be able to pick out what they said like you're Daredevil. It's a rough auditory experience to sit through because of it. It feels like getting bombarded with noise for 2.5 hours. By the end, I actually had a headache. Personally, I found this film to be a bad experience despite its awesome visuals and solid cast. The writing is just too unfocused and the sound mixing was awful. The story is long, drawn out, and doesn't really do anything unique. It's just another underdog tale. It does exactly what you think it will, and it doesn't deviate in the slightest. The races really are cool to watch, but the film goes on so long that they lose their initial charm and start to become a bit mundane. The sound was just awful. I hate how overused music has become in this TikTok era of filmmaking. You actually don't need music for every single scene. Believe it or not, sometimes it's okay to just have a bit of silence. Real life has peaks and valleys in the audio, and so should your film. If you like watching F1 racing, this film will definitely impress you. If you like underdog tales, you'll probably enjoy this. But if you're looking for a challenging experience, this isn't it. As for a rating, I'd give this film a 5 out of 10. Remember, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Bye-bye.